Hello students, how are you all doing? My name is Aisha and let's start here with your social science geography first or second chapter. Geography second India. The first chapter was about what is the area of India, what is the longitudinal and latitudinal extent of India, all that you learned in your first chapter. But that I think you've already learned in your earlier classes, so there is no need for us to repeat that particular thing, right? So we can just move forward and learn the physiography of India. So first of all, what do you mean by physiography? The word physiography, it means physically the outer look, okay, outside how it looks, no, that is physiography, physically how India is. About that we're going to learn now in this chapter. So India is physiographically divided into four parts. We have mountains, we have plateaus, and we have coastal areas and all these different things. So let's learn one by one here. First you're going to start with the first division of India, that is the northern mountains. So are you aware that in India, in the northern side of India, we have mountains? Now some of you might not be aware of this, so let me take a help of a map, which is the physical map of India, and in this you can easily see this brown colored, these are mountains which are in the north of India. This is north, right? Are you aware of directions? North, south, east, west, right? North, south, east, west. These are directions. Sun will rise from which direction? The sun is going to rise from the east direction, and sun is going to set in the west direction, isn't it? Yes. So this map here we can easily see the different mountain ranges. This brown color are nothing but mountain ranges. Also we have some mountain ranges here. These are Western Ghats, these are Eastern Ghats. Which are in the east are Eastern Ghats, which are in the west are called Western Ghats here, and these are the northern mountains. Also we have plains here. All that we are going to learn in this chapter now. First let's start off with the northern mountains. Now see, these mountains are it's common between India and other neighboring countries of India, like there is Nepal. These mountains are in between India and Nepal. Some part of the mountain is in India, the remaining part of the mountain is in Nepal. Also there are different other places like Bhutan, then there are Tibet, okay, Tibet, then there is China, then there is Islamabad, Pakistan, all these different places, Afghanistan, they share mountain ranges with India. Okay, so we are going to learn now in detail about these mountain ranges, and what is the height, what is the width, what are the special features of all these mountains, that all we are going to learn now in this chapter. So let us start off. Okay, so what are these mountain or northern mountain ranges? These northern mountain ranges are the mountain ranges which are located in the north. Okay, and they are also further divided. In the north there are many mountain ranges. So one after the other which are going, no, they are considered one after the other. So like that there are three mountain ranges. There are greater Himalayas, there are lesser Himalayas, and there are Shivalik ranges. Okay, greater Himalayas, lesser Himalayas, and Shivalik ranges, which we are going to learn one by one. First let us learn about in brief about the northern mountain. So different specifications are given here. All these are very important, so keep in your mind. First of all, these northern mountains have a lot of different features of the earth. For example, they have high peaks, they have deep valleys, they have gorges, they have glaciers, they have passes. Now what are the different things here? See, these are some important things that you have to know. First of all, high peaks means high mountain ranges, right? High mountain ranges which are very high. Deep valleys, between two mountain ranges, this place that you see from where water will flow, usually water will flow, not necessary, sometimes there is no water flowing. So this particular place here will be called deep valley. It is in V shape, right? So it is called deep valley. Then you have gorges. Gorges are very much similar, but they will not be very deep. They will be like this, round, like from here water will flow. They will not be V shaped, they will be round like this in between two mountains, that are gorges. And then you have glaciers. You know what are glaciers? When ice will be accumulated on a large amount, a whole mountain it will form, that mountain of ice will be called a glacier. The mountain of ice will be called a glacier. Now you will say, how this mountain will be there? Ice will melt and go away, right? But no. In the glaciers, ice is not going to melt. Ice is not going to melt in the glaciers because it is very solid ice, and the temperature there is also very, very cold, because of which the ice in the glaciers usually does not melt. It will just form a mountain, and that particular thing will be called a glacier. Now what are passes? Passes are the roads between two mountains. Like this, if there are different mountains, right, the road passing by the mountains, these are all called passes. See, I have drawn the roads here passing from the mountains. Okay, these roads will be called passes. Okay, the roads between the mountains are called passes. So these are the different things that are present in the northern mountains here. In the northern mountains, you have glaciers also, you have passes also, you have gorges also, and you also have deep valleys and high peaks. Okay, so let's move forward here. From where to where does this northern mountain extend? From where to where does this northern mountain extend? It extends from Indus Gorge to Brahmaputra Gorge. So from east to west, it extends from Indus Gorge to Brahmaputra Gorge, and the total length from east to west of this mountain is 2,400 kilometers. That is a long distance, right? 2,400 kilometers. That is the length of the mountains here, northern mountains, which are running from east to west, which are running from Indus Gorge to Brahmaputra Gorge. Understood? I showed you the map, right? From east to west the mountains were running. So from east it starts from Indus Gorge and then to Brahmaputra Gorge. Like that, east to west these mountains are running, and total distance of these mountains here is 2,400 kilometers. How much? 2,400 kilometers. Yes. So let's you learned about the length of the mountains. Now let's talk about the width. Width meaning how thick the mountains are. Okay, the base of the mountain, how thick it is. Understand what I'm trying to tell you? If this is a mountain here, this base, how thick is that? How big is that? That is called width. What is that called? That's called width. So what is the width of the mountain here? We're not talking about one mountain, but we are talking about the entire northern mountain range, and also we are going to talk about average width. Okay, accurately, or here in width is given in range. Minimum width. See, all the mountains are not of the same width. No, obviously some width will be small near the east, near the west the width will be big, and all these different things are there. So the width of these northern mountains are 240 kilometers to 320 kilometers. The smallest width is 240 kilometers, whereas the greatest width of the mountain here is 320 kilometers. So see the width here, 240 kilometers to 320 kilometers. That is the width of the mountain, right? So see, one more example is given here. One more thing, important point is mentioned. The mountain is broader in the west and narrower in the east. So this 240 kilometers, it is in the east, where the mountain is narrow. Narrow means smaller. Broader means bigger. Okay, narrow here means, what does this mean? Smaller. And broader there means bigger. So where is the mountain smaller? Smaller in the sense, not small like this, but small like this. The width is small. The width is small. That's why it is called narrower. So where is it not narrower? It is narrow in the east. It is nearly 240 kilometers width in the east, whereas in the west the mountains are very much broader. In the west the mountains are very much broader, and that width in the west is nearly 320 kilometers. The width of the mountain in the west is nearly 320 kilometers here. Did you understand? Okay, so we talked about the length and we talked about the width, and we also talked about that width is going to differ from the east to west. In the east the width is narrow, smaller, nearly 240 kilometers, whereas in the west the width is broader, which is nearly 320 kilometers. Okay, now let's move forward. What is the total area of all the northern mountains here? If you consider all the northern mountains here, the total area will be 5 lakh kilometers square. You are aware area should be written in kilometers square, right? So the area of the northern mountains here is 5 lakh kilometer square. How much? 5 lakh kilometer square is the total area of the northern mountains here. Okay, you understood that? You have to remember this very well. You have to remember what? The length you have to remember 2400 kilometers. The width you have to remember from 240 kilometers to 320 kilometers. Then you have to remember the area. The area is nearly 5 lakh kilometers square. The total area of the northern mountains is how much? 5 lakh kilometers square. Also another important point is mentioned there. The mountain is more steep towards India, which is India is in the south, and it is more gentle towards Tibet. What does this mean here? Let me draw a diagram and explain to you. Okay, I'll just try to draw it. Suppose this is a mountain. Okay, now this part here is India and this part here is Tibet. Okay, now see here, the mountain near India is steep. What do you mean by steep? The slope is very high. The slope is very high. Straight slope. When the slope is straight, it is called steep. And here when the slope is very slant, it's not very straight, right? It's like this. It's more like this. Here near India it is like this. There near Tibet it is like this. So that is called less steep and this is called more steep. Okay, this is called steep slope, this is called gentle slope. So near India will be near the south of the mountain. The mountain is on the north of India, right? So south to that mountain is India and north to the mountain is Tibet. Okay, Tibet will come north. Tibet is the country which is the northern neighbor of India. The northern neighbor of India is Tibet here. So in south you have India, and in north you have Tibet. So where is the mountain more steep? The mountain is more steep near India, which is in the south, whereas the mountain is more gentle near Tibet region. The mountain is more gentle near Tibet region. Did you understand this? Did you understand this point? Okay. So let's move forward here. Steep slope towards India and gentle slope towards Tibet. That is a very, very important point that you have to remember. Again, as I told you, the northern mountains are further divided into three: Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas and Siwalik ranges. So let's learn about all these three one by one. So first let's start talking about the Greater Himalayas. Now what is the Greater Himalayas, or what are the Greater Himalayas? The different important points of the Greater Himalayas we are going to learn here now. Okay, the first point, the innermost and continuous highest points are the Greater Himalayas. See, they are called Greater Himalayas because they are highest. The northern mountain are made up of three mountain ranges: highest Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas, Siwalik range. Out of these three, the Greater Himalayas has highest mountains. So these also have continuous mountain ranges. Continuously they are flowing. There is no cut in between. These mountains are continuously going from east to west. There is no cut in between. Okay, no passes. Passes are there, but not very deep. Completely the mountains are not divided. Okay, so it's continuous mountain change, and also highest mountain highest mountains are here in this Greater Himalaya region. Okay, so it's the innermost part, and also the continuous mountain ranges and also the highest mountain ranges are the Greater Himalayas. Let's move forward here. What is the height of these mountains here? Now we're talking about average height. Okay, we are going to combine the highest and the lowest, and totally average height we will give. How you find average height? You know, you add lowest height plus highest height divided by 2. That way you get average height. So what is the average height of the Greater Himalayas? The average height of the Greater Himalayas is 6,100 meters square. How much it is? 6,100 meters square is the average height of the Greater Himalayas. 6,100 meter square. Out of these mountains that are there in the Greater Himalayas, the highest mountain in the world is Mount Everest. Highest mountain in the world is which? Mount Everest. But Mount Everest does not fall in India. It is falling outside India. Okay, the highest mountain in the world is Mount Everest. You know that, right? Mount Everest, it is the highest mountain in the world. What is the height of this mountain? You know, the height of this mountain is 8,848 meters. 8,848 meters is the height of Mount Everest, and it is very difficult to climb this Mount Everest because the tip is made up of complete snow. All snow will be there in the tip. That's why what happens, it is very difficult to climb this mountain till the top. But there are so many people in the world who have climbed Mount Everest till the highest peak, in the topmost position. They have climbed Mount Everest. Okay, so you have to remember that Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world, and the height of Mount Everest is 8,848 meters. Understood? It's 8,848 meters. Now there are many other mountains ranges in Greater Himalayas. So what are these? We have Kanchenjunga mountain range. Kanchenjunga mountain range, it is also one of the highest mountains in the world. Highest is Mount Everest. Other highest is Kanchenjunga, which is 8,586 meters. 8,586 meters. Can you see here? 8,586 meters. After Kanchenjunga, you have Makalu. Makalu mountain is 8,481 meters. Makalu is 8,481 meters. Then you have different other mountain ranges like Dhaulagiri. Dhaulagiri is how much? 8,172 meters. Dhaulagiri is 8,172 meters. So there are many more, only few I have written here in the textbook. Also few are given, but there are many more mountain ranges there in the Greater Himalayas. Out of all these mountain ranges, Mount Everest, which is 8,848 meters, is the highest mountain range. 8,848 meters, Mount Everest is the highest mountain range. Okay, let's move forward here. Also, these mountains, these Greater Himalayas, are also called as what? Himadri. They are called Himadri. Lesser Himalayas are called Himachal. Greater Himalayas called Himadri. This can come as a very important question there. The question will be asked like, which are the Himadri mountains? And you have to say the Greater Himalayas are the Himadri mountains. Or the question will come like, what is the Greater Himalayas also known as? And you have to write the Greater Himalayas are also known as the Himadri mountain. Similarly for Lesser Himalayas, it is called Himachal, and that can be also asked as a question here. These Himadri are completely covered with snow. These Himadri mountains are completely covered with snow, because see, the tip of the mountain is so high that in such a high position there will be very cold environment, and this snowfall will be the continuous snowfall will be there in that highest position. So that's why this Himadri, which is, see, if you see, Greater Himalayas has one of the most highest peak mountains, right? So obviously because it has one of the highest peaks mountains, that's why it is covered with snow, because it's highest, right? It is highest, so that's why it is covered with snow, and it is also called as Himadri. That is very important there. It is also called as Himadri. Okay. Now these mountain ranges, the Greater Himalayas, has a lot of glaciers. I told you what are glaciers? The mountains of snow. or the block of snow. The whole area will be covered in snow, and that snow is not going to melt easily. That such a snow will be called a glacier. So there are n number of many glaciers there, but one of the most important glaciers here are Gangotri and Yamunotri. Gangotri and Yamunotri. What is from these glaciers only, slowly water will melt. These glaciers, I told you, did not melt very fast. They will remain in their own position only, but slowly the water will melt, no, and that will come down as rivers. These waters from the mountains is coming down as rivers. Now from where are rivers coming? In India we have so many rivers. From where do they come? They come from the mountain region. From the mountain region they flow down, and then in the end they go towards the sea. Okay, so Gangotri is the glacier which gives birth to Ganga river Ganga. Yamunotri is the glacier which gives birth to Yamuna river. So these are the very important glaciers here. These two, Gangotri and Yamunotri, are very important glaciers, and they give birth to one of the most important rivers of India. Okay, this is a very important. There are many glaciers there, but these two are very important. Also, there are many passes there. I told you passes. What are passes? Passes are places, or they're roads in the middle of the mountains, right? Passes are nothing but roads in the middle of the mountains. So see, they are in northern, the language is different. So see, the names are also different here. This is Burjil Pass. This is Zojila. This is funny names, no? Zojila Pass, right? And this is Shipkila Pass. These are the name of the roads there which are passing through the mountain ranges. These are not Indian names. These are like northern places. They have slight different languages, so the names are also different. This is Burjil Pass. Okay, remember the names nicely. Burjil Pass, Zojila Pass, and then there is Shipkila Pass. I know, I think some of you all will be laughing now listening to these names, but this is how it is, and it's better you learn to pronounce them. Okay, so repeat after me. Burjil Pass, Zojila Pass, Shipkila Pass. Okay, so let's move forward here. About the passes we studied, about the glaciers we studied. Now let's move forward. In the northwest region we have Trans-Himalayas. Northwestern part, some Himalayas have been separated. There is like, you can imagine it like a different mountain only, though it is a continuous range, but slightly it is different from the whole continuous range. In the northwestern region it is slightly different from the whole continuous range, so those are called Trans-Himalayas. So these Trans-Himalayas are very important here. The question can come, where are Trans-Himalayas present? You have to write there that Trans-Himalayas are present in the Greater Himalayas. Where are Trans-Himalayas present? They are present in the Greater Himalayas, and they have the different features that Trans-Himalayas have. They are mentioned here. They have Karakoram range. Trans-Himalayas have Karakoram range. Now what is Karakoram range? It is a mountain range. It is one of the very important mountain ranges of India. Karakoram range. Again, number of small mountains is called mountain range. So Karakoram ranges they have, and also the Trans-Himalayas has India's highest peak, which is K2, or you can also call it Mount Godwin or K2. These are the two same names. Okay, for the same mountain we have two names, K2 or Mount Godwin. It is located here, where? In the Trans-Himalayas, and that is the highest peak in India. Then what is Mount Everest? Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world, whereas K2 or Mount Godwin is the highest peak in India. You have to keep this in mind. You have to keep this very well in your mind. This is very important. Which is the highest peak in India? Mount Godwin, or you can write K2 also. And which is the highest peak in the world? Mount Everest. Did you understand this? This is very important there. So we finished about the Greater Himalayas. Okay, now let's move forward to the lesser Himalayas. Now what are the lesser Himalayas and what different features do these lesser Himalayas have? Okay, so I told you the northern Himalayas are divided, the northern mountains are divided into three parts: Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas and Shivalik ranges. So we studied about the Greater Himalayas. Now let's move forward and study about the Lesser Himalayas. Okay. So where are the Lesser Himalayas located? They are located to the south of the Greater Himalayas. These are Greater Himalayas. To the south, below the Greater Himalayas, you have Lesser Himalayas. Just below the Greater Himalayas, you have which Himalayas? You have Lesser Himalayas. They are also called Himachal. As I told you, they are also called Himachal. Whereas Greater Himalayas are called what? They are called Himadri. And Lesser Himalayas are called Himachal. Okay. So here, what is the extent of this Lesser Himalayas? The width of the Lesser Himalayas here is 80 kilometers. The width, okay, how the base I told you, the width is 80 kilometers. Average it is 80 kilometers. Okay, and what is the height here? The height will differ, range is given. The smallest height is 1500 meters and the greatest height is 4500 meters. The smallest height is 1500 meters, whereas the greatest height is 4500 meters there. You have to keep this in mind. This is very, very important. In the Lesser Himalayas, they are located just south to the Greater Himalayas. After Greater Himalayas, you have Lesser Himalayas. After that, you have Shivalik ranges. So this Lesser Himalayas, also called Himachal. I told you this can be a very important question. What are the Lesser Himalayas also called? They are called Himachal. Okay, and the width of these Lesser Himalayas are 80 kilometers. The average width of the Lesser Himalayas is 80 kilometers. And what is the height here? The height will differ from 1500 to 4500 meters. The smallest height for the Lesser Himalaya is 1500 meters and the greatest height here is 4500 meters. Eastern part of the Lesser Himalayas has forest. You know, the east and the west. Eastern part here in the Lesser Himalayas has forest ranges. So these whole mountains are covered with forest there in the eastern parts of the Himalayas. In the eastern parts, the whole mountain are covered with forest ranges. Okay. In the western, there are no forests. There are only mountains and there are some glaciers also. But in the eastern region, there are completely forest areas there. Also, parallel ranges are there. Parallel to the Lesser Himalayas, we have different other mountain ranges. Other than Lesser Himalayas, there are different mountain ranges which are running parallel to this Lesser Himalayas. So, which are these mountain ranges? Some names I have written. There are many names given here. I have written only 3 names here. They are Pir Panjal. They are parallel ranges running parallel to Lesser Himalayas. Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar, Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar and Darjeeling. I am sure you are aware of Darjeeling, like it is one of the hill stations also. So Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar, Darjeeling, these are some of the mountain ranges which run parallel to the Lesser Himalayas. These mountain ranges run parallel to the Lesser Himalayas. What are the name of these mountain ranges? Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar and Darjeeling. Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar and Darjeeling are some of the names of the ranges running parallel to the Lesser Himalayas. Now the Lesser Himalayas also have different valleys and different hill stations. Let's learn about them. We have different valleys such as we have Kashmir Valley. See, I told you how valley will be. I just now showed you, right? Oh, Darjeeling. Okay. So between two mountains, no, this place which will not be very curved, it will be like this flat area between two mountains. So this area will be called a valley. This area will be called a valley. Valley or, okay, it can also be little valley or gorge. Basically all the valley and gorges are the same. So this valley are nothing but, in that, you know, usually it is tourist places. There tourists will go and see different areas. It's a very beautiful place to see, because these valleys are you know, they are filled with snow mountains, completely snow they have, and it's a beautiful scene there. So some of the valleys are Kashmir Valley, then we have Kangra Valley, and we have Kulu Valley. Kashmir Valley, Kangra Valley and Kulu Valley. These are some of the important valleys in the Lesser Himalayas, and they are very important tourist spot. Many of the tourists will go there, especially in winter season, to take or have fun with the snow. Okay, it's a very beautiful scene there during the winter season. Also, we have different hill stations there in the Lesser Himalayas. So, which are the hill stations? We have Shimla Hill Station, we have Mussoorie Hill Station, we have Nainital Hill Station, and also we have Darjeeling Hill Station. These are the important hill stations there present in the Lesser Himalayas. Okay, so usually you will see even in movies and all, they show that for vacation and all, people will go to different hill station. No, in the north they will go to Shimla or Nainital or Darjeeling. So these are the very beautiful places here. If you have seen Barfi movie, that's a Hindi movie, if you've seen that has been shot completely in Darjeeling. And it's a very beautiful scene there. In the entire movie they are going to show snow covered mountains and different beautiful forests and all this region they are going to show there. So Darjeeling, Shimla, Nainital, Mussoorie, all these are very beautiful hill stations there which are present in the Lesser Himalayas. So if any time in life you get a chance to visit the northern sides, do visit the beautiful hill stations of the Lesser Himalayas or of the Himachal region. So this was about the Greater Himalayas and the Lesser Himalayas. Okay, so shall I do a quick revision here? The Greater Himalayas, okay, we have talked everything in detail about them, right? Even in the Lesser Himalayas, we talked everything in detail. We talked about the where it is located. It is located south to the Greater Himalayas, and they are also called as Himachal. And the width here is 80 kilometers. 80 kilometers is the width. And what is the height? The height will differ from 1,500 to 4,500 meters. And the eastern part of the Greater Himalayas or Lesser Himalayas, it is usually made up of forest ranges, and there are different mountains running parallel to the Lesser Himalayas. They are Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar and Darjeeling. Also, you have different valleys in the Lesser Himalayas like Kashmir Valley, Kangra Valley and Kulu Valley. Then again we have different hill stations there like Shimla, Mussoorie and Nainital. And so after talking about the Greater Himalayas and the Lesser Himalayas, now let's move forward to the last range of mountains in the northern mountain ranges, that is the Shivalik Hills. Now we do not call them the mountains, we call them the hills. Why do we call them hills? Because these are not high like mountains. They are not very high like mountains. You are aware that mountains are very, very high, right? But the Shivalik Hills, they are not very high. They are very, less in height. So that's why they are called hills here. And they are lying to the southernmost position. Okay, their outermost range or the foothills, meaning it is near the foothills. That's why they are called. They are near the foot. They are not very high. Near the foot and the outermost. Innermost was which one? Innermost was the Great Himalayas. Then we had the Lesser Himalayas, and then the outermost is the Shivalik Hills. And because they are the outermost, because they are the foothills, they are also known as Outer Himalayas. Shivalik are also known as Outer Himalayas. What each mountain is also known as, that is very important, you have to know. The Greater Himalayas are known as Himadri. The Lesser Himalayas are known as Himachal. The Shivalik ranges or the Shivalik ranges are also known as the Outer Himalayas. So what they are known as, you have to know that. That is very, very important there. So let's move forward. What is the height of the Shivalik mountains? See, the height is not very much. I told you it is 600 meters to 1,500 meters. The smallest height in Shivalik range is 600 meters, whereas the highest in Shivalik range or Shivalik mountain is 1,500 meters. So this is the height of these mountains here. 600 meters to 1,500 meters is the height. In the Shivalik hills, the height differs or varies between 600 meters to 1,500 meters. Also, what is the width of these mountains? The width of this mountain is 15 kilometers to 150 kilometers. The minimum width is 15 kilometers. The minimum width of these mountains are 15 kilometers, and the maximum width here of this Shivalik Hills is 150 kilometers. So minimum 15, maximum 150 kilometers. Very, very important. There you have to remember the height and the width of these mountains. So from where to where do they extend? They extend from where, which place to which place. That we have to learn here. They extend from the west to the east. In the west, they start in Jammu and Kashmir. In the west, they start in Jammu and Kashmir, and in the east they end in Arunachal Pradesh. So from Jammu and Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh, you will see this mountain range will be there. This mountain range will extend from Jammu and Kashmir in the west to Arunachal Pradesh in the east here. It is very important. You have to know the extent of these mountains. They are extending from where to where? From west to east. But in the west, they are extending from Jammu and Kashmir, and if in the east, they reach till Arunachal Pradesh there. Okay, so what did we talk about here? We talked about the outer Himalayas. They are also called as the outer Himalayas because they lie in the outermost region or in the foothill. That's why they are, this Shivalik hills are called outer Himalayas. Also, the height of these mountains is minimum 600 meters to maximum 1500 meters. That is the height of the Himalayas. Then what is the width of the Himalayas? Minimum width is 15 meters, maximum is 150 meters. Okay, so from where to where do they extend? They extend from Jammu and Kashmir in the west till the Arunachal Pradesh in the east. They extend from Jammu and Kashmir in the west till the Arunachal Pradesh in the east. Okay, is that clear to you? Now let's move forward. We are going to talk about dunes here. So what do you mean by dunes? Dunes are present in the Shivalik ranges or Shivalik hills. And what are these dunes here? Dunes are flat bottom. Okay, this is bottom. Flat bottom valleys. They are flat bottom. They are so flat that people can easily live there, make a village there, make their own houses there. So it is a flat mountain bottom valley. And one example of this dune is Dehradun. Dehradun is an example of dune, which is a flat mountain valley and where people can easily live. They can make their houses, they can have villages and different other buildings and all can be made there because this area are flat. So it is very easy to set up a town there in that particular area. Dehradun is an example of such an area. These dunes are present where? You have to remember, these dunes are present in the Shivalik hills. The dunes are present in the Shivalik hills. Okay, dune present in the Shivalik hills. What is the meaning of the dune? They are flat bottom valleys. So the outermost range or the foothill of the are the Shivalik mountains. They are also called the outer Himalayas, and the height of these Himalayas are from 600 to 1500 meters, and the width is 15 to 150 kilometers. They extend from Jammu and Kashmir in the west to Arunachal Pradesh in the east there. Okay, is that clear? Now let's move forward to the importance of the northern mountains. Now in general, we are going to talk about the importance of the greater Himalayas, of the lesser Himalayas, and of the Shivalik mountain ranges. The importance of all these three we are going to learn here in general. So what are the importance of these greater Himalayas or the northern mountains that we have in the north? First importance is that they act as natural frontiers. So what do you mean by frontiers? Frontiers are those who protect us. So these frontiers, they are natural frontiers. What are they protecting us from? They are protecting us from foreign invasion. If any neighboring country, any outside country has to attack India from the north, it is not possible for them, because to attack from north they have to climb these different mountains like Mount Everest and K2 and all these great mountains, which is impossible. So all these invaders, those who want to have war with India, or all these people who are not coming with good intentions, they cannot come from the north, because from the north we are protected by the northern mountains. We are protected in the north by the northern mountains. So against what else does this protect us? These northern mountains, they also protect us from the cold winds which are blowing from the northern area. From the north, cold winds will be blowing, and these cold winds are protected with the help of the mountain ranges there. Okay, So let's move forward here. From what else does it protect us? It obstructs. Obstruct meaning stop something is obstruct. It obstructs the rain bearing winds. Okay, some clouds will be there coming from the north which are carrying heavy rain. If the mountains were not there, if the northern mountains were not there, all this rain would come in the fall in the northern part of India, and thus it would cause a great disaster like floods and all would be caused here. So these mountains are going to obstruct the rain bearing winds, and that is how they protect us from heavy rainfall, and that's how India is protected from heavy rainfall. So let's move forward here. The slopes of the mountains have thick forest ranges. The slopes of the mountain have thick forest, and this thick forest, it is very helpful for different medicinal purposes and all the other things. Also this place is very fertile, so it is very helpful for plantation. This place is very helpful for plantation. Different plantation can be done here. Different plantation can be done, such as tea plantation in Assam and different other plantations. Is that clear to you? Now what is the other importance here? They are also storehouses of minerals. Different minerals are found in the mountains. You are aware of that, like iron ore, all this kind of ores. So all these minerals are found in the mountains there. Birthplace of many rivers. As I told you, the different glaciers like Gangotri Glacier, Yamunotri Glacier, they lead to or they give birth to river Ganga and river Yamuna, which are found in the northern mountains. Just now we have studied that, right? So that is another very important feature there. Also waterfalls are there in these mountain ranges, and with the help of these waterfalls you can generate hydroelectric power. Are you aware of this? Hydroelectric power is from waterfall. That waterfall will help the movement of the turbine, and that turbine is going to make electricity. The hydropower, the waterfall is going to help in the moving of the turbine. That turbine is going to generate electricity there, which is used by the Indians. Thus it is called hydroelectric power, which is generated with the help of the waterfalls which are present in all these different mountains. So these are all the importance here of the northern mountain ranges. Okay, so what have we studied in this session here? In this session 1 of your chapter 2, we have talked about the divisions, physiological divisions of India. Under that we talked about the first division, that is northern mountain ranges. In that, northern mountain ranges are further divided into greater Himalayas, lesser Himalayas and Sivalik ranges. All these three ranges of mountain very clearly we have studied. Then next we have studied the importance of these mountain ranges. Why are these mountain ranges so important to us? So please go through your textbook very nicely. Read the textbook, some diagrams are given, go through that. Map of India is also given in your textbook, go through that very nicely and keep all these points, especially height, width and all these points are important. We have to remember those. So thank you so much for watching class.